Here's another important story. Tonight, for the second time in a decade, a patient with HIV appears to have been effectively cured of the disease. 37 million people around the world right now are afflicted with HIV, and for the most part, they've been told that their condition is essentially incurable. So today, the world is reacting with hope that an HIV cure is very, very close. This new case is a man in London. He follows another case a few years back of a man in Berlin. Both patients were treated with stem cell transplants from donors who carried a rare genetic mutation. It's known as CCR5 delta 32. That made them resistant to HIV. This London patient has been in remission now for 18 full months without taking his HIV medications. Joining us now from New York is Rick Sawyer. He is the founder of ACT UP New York City and a Health Gap. And here's the important part of the story. Here's why he's such a meaningful and important guest for us. And we're so happy he's coming on to talk to us about this. He is openly HIV positive. We want to thank you for joining us. And I can't help but want to ask what your reaction was when you heard this news.
Well, thanks for having me, Rick. And I was quite happy to hear that another person had been cured of HIV. But while it's an important confirmation that someone going through a bone marrow transplant can be cured of HIV, this is no way a cure for HIV. It's only something that can be used for people who need a bone marrow transplant for some other reason. Bone marrow transplants are very dangerous. A lot of people die of them. And the first person called the Berlin patient, who more than 10 years ago went through a bone marrow transplant for cancer and was cured, almost died during that procedure. It's too risky, extremely expensive and not scalable for average person.
You know, in cases, and I hear what you're saying, by the way, and I understand that you would probably want to remain cautiously optimistic about something like this. Accent on the word caution, right? Right. Does it at least give you some hope compared to where we were, let's say, yesterday?
It does, because it confirms the fact that if we can do some type of gene modification, related to the CCR5 genetic mutation, we could possibly get a cure, but it would have to be done through a mechanism like gene splicing or manipulation, not through a bone marrow transplant that regrows bone marrow in a manner in which it's resistant. So it opens up avenues for additional research. The CCR5 marker has a different type of a protein on the outside of the blood cell that prevents the HIV virus from attaching to it and then infecting the individual, and also allowing replication of the virus inside that blood cell. And so if research could be done that would find a different way to make that modification so the HIV virus couldn't attach to blood cells, then we could have a cure. So hopefully it will guide more cure research.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this, because it's not every day we have an opportunity to talk to somebody who has HIV and is HIV positive as you are. You're one of a group of 37 million people all over the world. What's it like?
It's really far more difficult than most people think. There is a misconception in the world that the HIV medications that allow people like myself to live for decades with HIV is almost a functional cure. But in reality, the HIV medications have horrible side effects. I've had 3 hip replacements, one done twice, because of changes, side effects of the HIV medication that actually caused my hips to die. The side effects are really horrible. There's no cure. We need to do something to make the drugs more affordable so that everyone who's HIV infected can get the drugs. While there's 37 million people living in the world with HIV, almost half of them lack access to treatments that are allowing people like me to live for decades with HIV. And I don't deserve to live any more than some poor person in an African village. So we've got to expand access to these treatments and get the cost of drugs down through generic competition.
You seem like a good man, Eric. I really enjoyed talking to you. Hang in there. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
I will. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Take care. All right. I'm Rick Sanchez. You found us on YouTube, and that's awesome. But you know what? I'm also live every night at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern on DirecTV and Dish and cable and satellite, the RT app, and Pluto TV. I'll see you there.